Hi, and welcome to Dear Franny. My name is Francesca HERE, and this is a podcast about love. Thank you so much for listening. I am very excited to have this conversation with you today. It's kind of a one-sided conversation, but I'm imagining you listening, and I'm very pleased to be giving you this information today. So my last episode was about dating right now in the time of COVID, and what I would do right now, the exact steps that I would take if I was single and I wanted to meet someone right now. And I heard from some of you that it was really helpful and it inspired you, and that's fantastic, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. So yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with me. And by the way, you're all welcome to connect with me. So, Instagram is the place where I spend the most time these days online, and you can reach me on Instagram. I'm at Dear Franny and also at Dear Franny Podcast. So that's a way to reach out to me. And another way to reach out to me actually is to text me, and you can text me. This is just a US text number. So if you are overseas, then, that international messaging is going to apply. And if you're in the US, then your local, domestic, national, what do you call it? I don't know. National? I'm in the US. This is a US phone number that you can text to reach me. And that number is 1. The country code is 1 for those of you outside of the US. And then the area code 323-402-6863. 323-402-6863. That's another way to reach me. But so those of you who reached out, thank you. It's good to hear your feedback. But I wanted to do this episode as sort of a follow-up to that one, because one thing that I never want anyone to do is to date and go through all the motions and take all of the, quote unquote, right steps, but still ultimately you are not really in a mindset that's going to allow you to be successful. So basically, I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to date and waste your time, because that's a very, very easy thing to do. So that is what I want to talk about today. And I'm going to give you 5 sort of questions or tips for you to just check in with yourself and see okay, am I wasting my time while dating, or am I on the right track? Because I want you to be on the right track, because I do believe that, dating is something your, quote unquote, success in dating can change in an instant, and it will, right? And sometimes just a little mindset shift is the thing that really facilitates the breakthrough that you're looking for. So I want to talk about that. Before I get to that, on a personal note, just wanted to share a couple of things with you. So my boyfriend and I went on an epic camping road trip, and a few weeks ago, we were gone for 10 days, and we drove from California to Montana and back, and we stayed in Utah and Wyoming. No, did we stay in Wyoming? I don't know. Nevada. There was a lot of places that we went to. Idaho. We camped in Idaho. It was really beautiful. And I'm a total city dweller, born and bred and lived my whole life. And though I've spent time in nature, obviously, I haven't spent that much time in nature in a long time. And it was just very cool. And I wanted to just share this with you, because I found that even my thoughts were different when I was in nature. I was so much more present. I wasn't projecting so much into the future. I wasn't ruminating on the past. It was just very present. There was just, I don't know, something about the woods and trees and the ocean. I mean, not that we were at the ocean, but we actually did camp 5 nights by bodies of water. So we had babbling brooks, there was a creek. I mean, it was amazing. And it was just I know this is so cliche, but I needed this reminder, because to me, going on this trip was like a compromise because of COVID and not feeling comfortable getting on an airplane. And also, nowhere in the world is really interested in having us as US citizens right now. And nowhere in America is free from COVID. So we decided to just drive and camp, and that felt a lot safer. And so I felt like I was compromising with this vacation, but then in the end, it wound up being a really powerful experience. So I just want to encourage those of you who are feeling shut in, stuck in your homes, city bound, if you can get out of the city for, a couple of days and just really immerse yourself in nature, I think you will find that it really does do wonders for your soul. And then the day after we got back from our camping trip, we adopted a dog. So I am a dog mom now. His name is Toast. He is perfection. He's so cute. He was a stray. which is just crazy that anyone would ever abandon this angel of a dog, but he's just great. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm just telling everyone. So I wanted to tell you, I have a dog. His name is Toast, and I'm very happy. Okay, so now to the matter at hand. So dating, are you wasting your time? And maybe if you're not dating right now, but you're interested in dating, these questions still apply. Like, you still want to make sure that you don't fall into these traps that are easy to fall into. And by the way, everything that I say always, when I'm giving any kind of dating advice, it's all said with love. I want you to hopefully feel that love and also really practice being compassionate towards yourself if these are things that you resonate with and are something that you're challenged with, because your dating history is not your destiny and love is possible for you. So I say this with love because I don't want you to waste your time, because I want you to have love and I know that that's possible. So, all right, here we go. That's just my little disclaimer, because I know that sometimes this kind of information can feel a little shaming, like, oh my God, I'm totally messing up, or I'm so behind, or I'm never going to meet anyone. And that's the last thing I want you to take from this, because it's not true. It's just not true. Okay, so question number 1, do you go on lots of dates that go nowhere? And so the reason that this is an important question is that, if you're going on lots and lots of dates that go nowhere, then, and when I say they go nowhere, I mean, like, maybe go on 1 date, 2 dates with people, maybe even 3 dates, but it just fizzles out before you can really, get any traction, make that connection, start to build something more. So if you're stuck in a pattern like that, and I have been stuck in a pattern like that in my life, certainly, then I really want you to take a break, take a step back, and really ask yourself, okay, well, what's going on here? Because there's a disconnect. Because it's not that every person you go out with is going to be, the perfect person for you, obviously, or maybe even, somebody that you would necessarily want to date for an extended period of time. But if that's the case, then there's something off about your date selection. So if you're going on dates with a lot of people who are just far from what you're looking for, then you're doing something wrong in who you are selecting to go on dates with. So, that's something to take a look at. Maybe you are prioritizing the wrong things when you're choosing who to date. There's something going on there. So if you're going on lots of dates that go nowhere, then I would really encourage you to take a step back and pivot, because you are unlikely to break that pattern without some intervention and some, intentional effort on your part. Okay, and then the next one is, actually, this isn't a question, but this is more, if this resonates with you, you're looking for instant chemistry. Like, that is the thing that you are prioritizing, is that instant chemistry. And you might be a person who says, I know it when I'll see it. When I meet him, when I meet her, when I meet them, I'll know, and I'll know instantly. So that instant chemistry trap, and I do call it a trap because the fairy tale industrial complex really, really shoves this idea of instant chemistry, the moment you see them, the lightning bolt. They really shove this down our throats as the gold standard for love. And that's the fantasy, and that's the most romantic thing. And the reality is that, first of all, instant chemistry, Lord knows, I've had it, I felt it. It's so intoxicating, and the dopamine spike, and it feels magical and amazing. And there is something, alchemical and just magical about it. So I'm not knocking that feeling. However, if you think back to all of the people in your life who you've had instant chemistry with, where has that led you in the long term? And I'm talking about instant chemistry. So this is not me advocating that you get into relationships with people that you're not attracted to and you don't have chemistry with. That would also be a waste of your time, okay? If you do that, actually, I have to amend this list because this isn't on the list, but if you are spending a lot of time dating people who you are not attracted to and you're trying to convince yourself that you're going to get attracted to them or hope that you'll get attracted to them, that is a waste of your time. So instant chemistry is a very, very unreliable indicator of long-term compatibility. And sometimes if you have a pattern where, you know it when you know it, you see the person and you know that always leads to a certain outcome that you don't want, right? So if you're looking for hot sex, then that's amazing, right? That's the way to go. But if you're actually looking for hot sex and a committed relationship that lasts, then, you need to be looking for more than that instant chemistry. And if you you find yourself in a dating pattern that you don't want and that you don't understand, then that instant chemistry then for you in that situation is actually, if not an outright red flag, it's at least a yellow one. Because that chemistry, what's registering as chemistry is your subconscious genius recognizing, oh, that's exactly the person who's going to fit the puzzle piece of my pattern, of my beliefs and all of that. So there's a level of just awareness that I ask you to bring to those situations when you have instant chemistry. Now, like I'll tell you, excuse me, on a personal note, the first time I met my boyfriend, and you probably heard the story if you listen to the podcast, and I was just talking about it on the last episode, I think I was. Recap, very briefly, I met him on the street. We were walking, well, he was waiting for an Uber with his brother, and I was walking by, and we just had this very brief interaction. So we spoke for maybe 5-7 minutes, and then we went our separate ways. And I was not like, oh my God, this is the one. But I did feel like, that guy, the thought that really came into my head was, I just feel like I'm supposed to keep talking to him. Like there was something intriguing there. And I knew enough at that point about how like chemistry works and intuition works that like, that's a really good sign. If I feel drawn to continue a conversation with someone, there's something there and that's happening for a reason. And I also knew that I had done so much work on myself that I wasn't just seeking that lightning bolt of instant chemistry, which I've experienced a number of times, and it's wonderful and it's exciting and it's intoxicating. But for me, it never, ever, ever ended well. I always ended up getting hurt. I had already done the work on myself to get to the point where I could really trust my intuition and really know like, yes, I absolutely need to connect with this guy. And I then found him on Twitter. Yes, of course, I talked about this in the last episode, because that's one of the tips that I gave. One of the things that I would do is I would use social media to see, who I'm interested in and slide into a DM or two. And that's what I did. So if you're looking only for that instant chemistry and you're telling yourself, I'll know when I see it, then I encourage you to take a step back to really think about, okay, beyond the lightning bolt of instant chemistry, first of all, where has that led me in the past? So has that led me down a path of consistently getting into a dating pattern that I don't want? Because if you do know that, then you know that when you feel that instant chemistry, it's not a green light. It's actually like, I need to take a step back. I need to show up differently and do things differently than I normally do if I want a different result. That's really, really important. And then also just really beyond the chemistry, thinking about what is the relationship that I want to have? Not just who's the person, but like, what's the relationship? What do we share together? If the relationship had qualities, what are they, right? Do you have shared emotional intimacy? Do you like to be creative together or have intellectual stimulation or adventures or raising a family? Like, what are the things that are going to happen in this relationship rather than who's the person, if that makes sense? So those are questions that are really helpful to ask yourself. And then the third thing is, if you are a person who blames other people, you think that the issue, the problem in your dating experience, on your love journey is everyone else. So if you think that, all men are this, or no one wants that, or all women are this, or you don't understand people where I live in my city or my town are like this, or in my profession or my social circle, I've heard it all. And I've been there, right? It's always funny to me when people say, you don't understand. I live in DC. It's the worst place to date. And then I'll talk to somebody who lives in New York and they'll say, you don't understand. I live in New York. It's the worst place to date. And then I'll talk to somebody who lives in Boston. You don't understand. Boston is the worst place to date. I wish I lived in New York. It'd be so easy. I hear that all the time. But anyway, just know that, and this is not a shaming or blaming thing, but you are the common denominator in your dating experience, in your dating patterns, in your relationships. So if you are having a result, this is sort of going, back to what I said at the beginning, like, are you going on lots of dates that are going nowhere? Are you having the same experience over and over again, either, being attracted to or attracting to you the same type of person over and over again? Then you have to understand that you are part of the equation there. There needs to be some reflection that happens on your part to start to understand, okay, what is it about me or what am I projecting into the world, or what might I actually believe to be true that I keep on experiencing the same thing over and over again that I don't want. And an example of that would be, this is an example from my own life. And I know if you listen to this podcast, I always talk about this. It's kind of, I get tired of hearing me tell you the same things, but it's important, I think, in this context to give an illustration, a real life one. So I'll just give my own, which is when I was of the mindset that guys didn't like me and that love was this thing that I desperately wanted, but was probably never going to have. I did an amazing job of always attracting and being attracted to men who would eventually validate that. So I was so good at just falling for the unavailable guy. I was so good at getting some massive crush on some guy who was totally treating me like an option or not into me at all. I was so good at that. And it felt like that was my experience. I had that experience over and over and over and over again. So when you're in that experience, it feels like, well, this is just how it is. This is just reality. But actually, what I really encourage you to consider is that it doesn't have to be a reality, that there is some underlying belief or set of behaviors, because it's really your beliefs, because the beliefs inform everything. They inform, how we feel about ourselves, who we're attracted to, how we behave. It informs everything. So, when you are in that experience of having the same thing happen to you time and time and time again, it is so easy to think this is what it is. This is how it is. And I promise you, open yourself up to a different possibility that the way that it has been is not the way that it always has to be. And that actually there is some belief or some set of beliefs that you have that's actually being validated by your choices and the people that you're attracted to and that you're attracting. Because what we want, what your unconscious mind wants, and that's what's running the show, is to be right about what it is you believe. And that's why what you believe is so, so powerful for your life, because you'll make yourself right about it, even if it's something that you don't want. So if you find yourself thinking all men are this, or no one wants relationships, or all women are this, or I live in this city and that's the problem, or I'm this age and that's the problem, or I'm divorced and that's the problem, or I've never been married and that's the problem, or I'm not saying that there's not actual real factors that come into play. Race will be a perfect example. It is statistically true, if you talk about online dating, that Black women are the least contacted, the least favorited, the least responded to. The data is very clear about that. But when I was a Black woman, well, I still am, but when I was a Black woman who was dating online, I just decided that doesn't apply to me. I felt like I don't need every guy on this platform to like me. And if there are guys on this platform who don't want to date me because I'm Black, guess what? I don't want to date them either. And so I never let that quote unquote reality be my reality. I'm talking about years later, I'm not talking about the beginning of my dating journey, but after I had done, a lot of work on myself and my self-love and just, bringing this awareness of I only want people who want me. So the people who don't want me, I'm not worried about them. I'm going to focus on the ones who do. And I tended to be very successful online. I've had relationships with men that I've met online. And one point I was OkCupid notified me that I was one of the most popular people, in New York City. I was doing really well on the scene for a bit there. But anyway, moving on. So if you're blaming other people, outside factors, then that is a sign that you're not on the right track when it comes to dating and you might be wasting your time. Okay, and the fourth thing is, do you find dating stressful and demoralizing? If you find dating stressful and demoralizing, then you are potentially really wasting your time. And it doesn't mean you don't get to date. It just means you got to take a break and really break down, okay, what about this process is feeling so stressful and so demoralizing? So is it, that you need some more information about how to do it better, right? Maybe there's just some education that is needed. Dating dating is a skill. Maybe it's a mindset shift that needs to happen because you're feeling very pessimistic, right? And then, one of the cures for pessimism, and when I work with clients one-on-one, really one of the first things that we do is I have my clients, I ask them in a questionnaire to reflect upon their most significant relationships or romantic entanglements, because not everybody's had quote unquote relationships, not committed ones. And just, even if they're crushes, just talk about it and, what happened at the beginning, what happened at the middle, what happened at the end. And by doing that, by the time, my clients and I talk this through, and the end of that conversation, they're like, oh, I get why that didn't work out. Oh, I see now the pattern. Oh yeah, I see how I ignored X, Y, Z. Oh yeah, well, yeah, to tell you the truth, I didn't really want to be with that person anyway. I was just hoping things were going to change, right? And then when you start to really understand why or how you kind of come to this particular point in your love journey, then it doesn't feel demoralizing, because then you're like, oh, now I understand what I was doing before that gave me that result, and I'm just not going to do that anymore. So it's very empowering when you bring that clarity to what's been going on in the past. If you are finding dating really stressful, really looking at, okay, how am I dating? One thing that I have these very practical tips for people about dating, don't spend hours every day swiping on a dating app. That is going to stress you out and burn you out, and you're unlikely to be successful if that's how you're feeling. How you feel on your dating journey matters. If you're feeling stressed out and you're feeling demoralized, you're not in the right frame of mind to look at profiles and make a clear-headed assessment. You're just now oh God, everybody sucks, or it becomes a really emotional state is not conducive to you meeting someone. So taking a step back, I encourage my clients to designate, a couple hours each week. So Sunday nights recommended. You can do this while you're on your sofa watching your, HBO shows. Okay, for 2 hours, this is when I'm going to do my swiping for the week. I'm going to swipe until I get 10 matches, and then I'm going to close it. And then every day, yes, I want you to check your messages, because you want to respond to people in a timely fashion. But every day, that's all you're doing. It's you're responding and you're in communication, but you're not just endlessly swiping, because that gets overwhelming and that gets stressful. If you're saying yes to dates that you don't want to go on, then that's going to be really stressful. And that's something to look at, right? Why are you saying yes to the people that you're saying yes to? What about it is problematic? Are you, putting yourself in a position where you're driving an hour across town to go on these dates and now you're just exhausted, right? So it's gonna really serve you better to go on fewer dates that are high quality than it is to go on maybe a shit ton of dates that don't go anywhere. This is not about quantity. This is about quality. So if you're finding dating demoralizing, stressful, really taking a step back and seeing okay, how can I energize myself for this process? Am I trying to do too much? Do I need to just not work, quote unquote, work harder here, but work smarter, so to speak? That's super important. And another thing that can help you if you're feeling, demoralized or stressed out in your journey is to really concentrate and even write down a vision of the relationship, not just the person, because it's not about a perfect person, but the relationship that you want to have, and write it in such a way that it really connects with you emotionally, and, read it, connect to that. That's what I did. I had this love vision and I wrote it out. It was not long. It was a paragraph, and I left it by my bedside and I would read it every night. And it just made me feel excited. Oh God, I can't wait until that's my life, until I am in that kind of relationship. And it helped me to really tap into the emotion, and which was helpful in, first of all, attracting that relationship really quickly. But then also, and when I say really quickly, I mean, I'd say I was probably reading that love vision every night before I went to bed for, I can't tell you exactly because my memory is bad, but maybe 2 months before I met my boyfriend. And then when we were on our second date, I remember he was talking and I was staring at him and I was just like, oh my God, I'm feeling the way that I felt when I would read my love vision. It was crazy. And this is woo woo, but I'm woo woo. So really connecting to the motivation of the vision of what you want is something that can really help you if you're just really feeling demoralized on your journey, but also really bringing your attention to what you are doing to support yourself on your journey versus what you might be doing that's not helping. And then the last thing here is not a question. Again, not many questions, are more kind of just bullet point statements. You're focused on getting other people to like you. That is your goal goal as you go about dating. Now, and I already came up with another one. I started with these 5, and what was the one that I came up with while I was talking here, which was you are spending too much time dating people who you don't like, right? But it's also, there's this kind of orientation, that's this mindset that's very easy to fall into with dating, where you now are like, I want to meet somebody, and I just like want to meet somebody who really likes me, and I just want someone to like me, and like that's what you're looking for. You're looking to be liked, and we all want to be liked. And of course you want the people that you date to like you. We want everybody to like us. That's just as humans. We are naturally inclined to want people to like us. But when you're looking for a relationship, it's not just about being liked, because when you're focused on just being liked, then you're like, it's hard to be authentic if your main concern is being liked, because then you're going to start censoring yourself, filtering what you say and what you do based on what you think the other person wants. Okay, because you don't really know what they want. You think, okay, well, I see this a lot with women. I mean, granted, I work mostly with straight women, and I am one, so this is what I see the most, but of course this happens with everyone. So what happens is you go on a date with someone and you're like, oh my God, this person is, this guy, he's so smart, he's so ambitious, he's so successful, he's so all this. And then you're like, oh my God, okay, so a guy like this is going to want a woman who's this and da-da-da. And so I'm going to be more this. And it's like this whole performance based on what behaviors you think are going to get this person to like you. And if that is your orientation, that's your focus when you are dating, you are potentially, and really, in my opinion, wasting your time. Because if you do, quote unquote, succeed in the short term of getting somebody to be like, oh, this person, oh, she's great, or he's great, or whatever, they don't know the real you. And now the relationship has become about you being in this performance, people-pleasing mode versus about the two of you coming together and your connection and your chemistry and what you're building together. So if you want a relationship that is cooperative, that is a give and a take, where you are both being your authentic selves and seeing each other and appreciating and loving each other because of your authentic self, because that's where true intimacy lies. Like, you need to have authenticity and real vulnerability in order to have true intimacy. And that's a two-way street. So that's coming from you and coming back at you, right? So it's not just about that person liking you. It's about what you can create together. And for the people who don't like you, because not everybody will, there is literally no one who is liked by everyone, okay? And there's no one who is considered to be, gorgeous or hot or sexy by everyone, or even smart by everyone, right? Like, these things are not objective. They're highly, highly subjective. So as much as it can suck and hurt and be painful to meet somebody or be interested in someone or go on a date with someone and you really like them and they don't like you, this is the thing that I say all the time, which is, if you think someone's perfect for you and they disagree and don't think that you're perfect for them, then you're wrong. They're not perfect for you. The person who's perfect for you or the people, because I think there's more than one, but the people who are right for you are the people who agree that you're right for them. So in order for that connection to be true and to be honest and to be authentic and to be something that has the potential to last, it needs to come from that place of real authenticity. And that's not just about being liked. That's about both of you showing up as your authentic selves and seeing what you can create together. So thank you for listening to me rant. I felt like that was a bit of a rant. Like I said at the beginning, it's all a rant that comes from a place of love and from a place of not wanting you to go through the motions of dating and waste your time, because that does become demoralizing when you're just dating and dating and dating, or not dating, or kind of dating, or dipping your toe into dating and getting frustrated and then pulling it out and then back and forth. I've been there and I've seen it all, and I know what that's like. But if you want to be successful in dating, and success in dating is not just about the relationship, but obviously that is the end goal. Dating gives you an opportunity to develop more confidence, self-awareness, communication, vulnerability. So there's a lot of ways to be successful in dating. It's not just about the end goal of meeting, your person, but we want to meet your person, and I want you to meet your person. So I don't want you to waste your time. I want you to use dating as the tool that it is to get you closer to that relationship, and not to just be something that keeps you stuck and far from that relationship. Okay. So thank you so much for listening. And please connect with me. I want to hear from you. I'm at Dear Franny on Instagram, also at Dear Franny Podcast. I'm also at Dear Franny on Twitter and Facebook and all of the places. And please connect with me. And then also don't forget, you can text me. This is a US text number. So, rates and messaging data all applies. 323-402-6863. And if you join me and my text community at that number, 323-402-6863, by September 10th, and I'm choosing September 10th because it's my mother's birthday, so it's an easy day for me to remember. If you join my text community by September 10th and you send me a text with a t-shirt that either says t-shirt or a t-shirt emoji, you are going to be instantly entered to win a t-shirt of mine, of my merch, my Dear Franny merch. So I will be happily sending you a very cool t-shirt, one lucky winner. So text me 323-402-6863 and maybe you'll be the winner of my Dear Franny t-shirt. All right. So thank you for listening. Thank you for rating and reviewing. If you have not yet taken the time to subscribe, to rate this podcast 5 stars or whatever platform you are listening, please do. It means a lot and it helps the podcast. And if you feel moved to write a review, if you are enjoying the show, then I would be extra grateful for that. But I'm grateful for you regardless. Wherever you are in the world, stay safe, stay healthy, take good care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and don't waste your own time. All right. Until next time. Bye.